Hey, we got Chris and Nico.
Hey, Coach.
How you doing, Chris, man?
Good, good.
Well, thank you. First and foremost, thank you for getting on here. I know you guys got a big fight tomorrow, right? You guys just
Yeah.
fought last week. I know you guys fight tomorrow. So first I want to say thank you for even taking the time to get on here. Um, but I do definitely want to share some of the success you guys had, and learn tell the people a little bit about how you guys got into boxing and what got you to where you are today and everything. So like let's get into the whole story before we talk about last week. How long has Nico been boxing? How long have you been coaching him, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, sure. Well, first off, congratulations on your daughter, man. That's great. Um, yeah, Nico started boxing about he's 14 now. So he got into boxing at about 7 years old.
6.
6 years
You
old. He
always get
always
that
corrects
wrong.
me. He started about 6. Um, he went to a gym, he saw it in the ring, he wanted to try it, and he just fell in love with it. Right. So we put him in. He was doing it probably 5 days a week since he's been 6 years old, you know. And I don't come from a boxing background, so I don't have a lot of knowledge in boxing to help him out. One of the things I noticed in boxing is you're kind of on your own a little bit, right? Like if you play an organized sport where it's like a high school sport or basketball, football, whatever, the kids go to school and there's a program and they have coaches and there's a lot of support for it. But in boxing, it's not quite the same. So I had to try to learn as much as I can to help him out. I want to support him and support his dream to be the best he can. But I didn't have any knowledge in boxing whatsoever, man. And it was a struggle to help him. It was a struggle to find the right coaching. There's a lot of gyms that are kind of fitness gyms now, or they're trying to do group programs, which is totally fine. But when you want to compete, you really need that one-on-one coaching and that one-on-one knowledge of really understanding what's the right things to do. So we moved around, we bounced around from gym to gym and things like that. And I went online and tried to learn as much as I could, but honestly, wasted a lot of time on things and trying to figure it out on my own and stuff like that. And um, and then came across your programs. And one of the things I was impressed with is you talk a lot about the fundamentals, one, and then also kind of how to box, not just hey, be fit and hit the bag and hit the speed bag and things like that, but really like how to counter punches and what are the right things to do to set traps and counter punches and how to move and all those types of things that was kind of missing in a lot of things, and I didn't have that knowledge, right? So I came across your courses and they've really been great. They really helped him out.
Right, right. So he started when he was 7. Well, thank you for saying that, by the way.
Yeah.
But he started when he was 7. And when did you have your first fight, Nico?
Last year.
So how old are you?
It was 2 years ago, my bad. It was
So
in
how
December.
so how old are you?
14. I
So
was,
you actually trained for quite a while before you actually stepped into the ring and competed.
Yep.
yeah.
Which is in my opinion not a bad way to do it. A lot of people rush their kids into competition, but
Hmm.
I believe since he's so young, it's smart that you took your time with him. So he actually probably boxed a good 3-4 years before he actually stepped in the ring.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
Yep.
right, so in those 3-4 years, you guys bounced around, and you found him a coach.
Yeah, we had a couple different coaches. Some we found one who he was he was good. He was like 85. He knew boxing, right? And he was kind of over the whole own gym ownership. A little place in a basement. And he literally like took a canvas, put it on the ground with ropes, and he would focus one on one, which is what I was looking for a long time. It's just that one on one coaching, spend time with someone, invest in them. And he did that for a while. He ended unfortunately he ended up getting COVID, and he passed the COVID. But um, it was good working with him one on one for that time period. And he I think he learned a good amount from him at that time. So having that one on one coaching time was really, really, really helpful. But after COVID, and unfortunately, like I said, he passed to COVID, and we're kind of starting over. Okay, now where do we go from here? How do we continue learning one-on-one? And that's when I came across your stuff.
Right. So I think you signed up to the program last. I think you took advantage of the Thanksgiving sale or whatever we had going
Yeah.
on, or the Black. Right. So you joined on around Thanksgiving, and it was great. Working with you guys. You guys actually even came down to
Yep.
work with me personally, right? So I was telling the people how I helped mitts for Nico and stuff. So for the people who don't know, man, very talented, very sharp, good boxer, and let me ask you, as a father coaching now, are you coaching him full time on your own?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, 5 days a week we go, and what I do, to be honest, and this is not just like a plug for you or whatever stuff is I'll watch your content myself, right? And I'll go through it. We might watch it in the car ride to go to the gym or whatever, say, oh, all right, Nico, we're gonna go over these things that we're learning from your content. So it gives me something to. Otherwise, I would go to the gym and I wouldn't even know what to do. You know,
Right.
right? So, like for example, you have setting traps and counter punches. That's one of the ones that was in the bundle, right? And you go over different ways to counter the jab, different way to counter the right hand, so on and so forth. So, I'll watch that stuff, and then we'll work on that in the ring. You know, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't know what to really work on. I mean,
Right.
hit and miss, whatever, but it wouldn't really have any meaning. And to be honest, like his last fight that he won there and he won the belt, I noticed he was using some of the counter punches we worked on from your videos.
Right.
So, it's good because you can watch that stuff on your own time, but you kind of know what to do in the gym then after that.
Well, I think that's something that I think a lot of people like. Nico's actually in a great time to be we're all in a great time to be alive. But when I was Nico's age, we didn't have access to the internet, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the old time trainers and a lot of people who are a little bit older may not really believe that you can learn online. And it's something that I've been trying to explain to people. Like, if you don't know how to do something, everybody goes to YouTube to learn how to do something, right? And I just think that boxing gets this reputation that that's the one sport you can't learn online. You can learn how to be a mechanic online, but you can't learn how to throw a jab, a right hand, or a counter punch online. You know what I mean? And I just don't understand why people think that that's the case. So I've been trying to really express that, but you also have to go about it the right way. You also have to have somebody guide you through it, because if, like, for instance, Nico never boxed before, if the first course you bought from me was how to set traps and counter punch or the Philly shell, that might not be the right way to go about it, right? Like, that can get you really messed up. But if you go ahead and you start with build you from the ground up, or if you have somebody like, me to tell you which ones you should get and which videos you should watch through each course, there's just so much more benefit to doing it the right way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I mean, like, I know, like, I'll be honest, totally honest. Like, I went through a little bit of building you from the ground up, but he had been doing it for 7 years. Some of that is, stuff that he'd already learned. So I could jump forward to some of the other more advanced things. But I know kids in the gym today, I tell them about your program, and I would tell them, like, they just started in the gym, right? Just start with building you from the ground up, or, so there's different places depending where you're at. You could jump into your programs and definitely learn from it. But I agree, like, don't start out, like, if you're starting out in boxing, don't start out with some of the more advanced things. It's just not.
And and I think that's the main thing, and knowing where to start. A lot of people, they'll go online. I see people all the time that they don't want to, for instance, invest into maybe some of the programs. So what they'll do is they'll go to my free content and they'll look at the free content and be like, yo, this is great, blah, blah, blah. And don't get me wrong, the free content is very valuable. But the problem is, if you don't know where you are, you're looking at the free content that you may not be ready for. And you are attempting to work on some of this stuff. And what's happening is you're building bad habits. Whereas for the courses are organized from A to Z, there's no guesswork. You know what to do next. You know when to do it. You have access to me personally where you can message me, contact me, etc. So I can tell you like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like you're talking to the person who created the program, where online you're kind of just trying to like, I think that's what I should do. Like you're trying to like cheat the system in a sense, and you end up not getting most out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was doing that, to be honest, for a while. I was watching all YouTube videos and all this, and there's so much. You're just like, well, do you work on that? What you saw in that video, or do you spend time? Time is the biggest thing I find to like to figure out like what do you focus on? Like there's only so much time in the gym, right? You can only do so much, and there's only so many days in the week. So, and there's a lot to learn. So just knowing like what's the right thing to be doing now, where he's at, is definitely helpful. Definitely.
All right, so let's talk about your fight last week, man. You guys obviously came off of a big win. He won a belt. I already shared the picture for the people who came in. For people who may not have seen that, well, I don't know. Okay, here we go. For those of you guys who might have just came in right now, that's last week. Chris and Nico showing off his belt. You got the Rival shirt on. Okay, shout out to Rival. So talk to me, man. What happened in that fight? You said you were able to take advantage of some of the counter punches that you worked on in the course. Nico, from your words, man, you're sitting there real quiet. You're not a man of many words. Tell me about the fight last week, man.
It was a good fight. I fought the kid before, so I kind of expected what he's gonna do and stuff. So.
Also, this is a kid you've actually fought in the past.
I've sparred him. I haven't fought him. I sparred him once, like 2 weeks before the fight. We didn't know we were gonna fight each other until like the day of the.
Now, let's talk about that real quick. How is that? Like, how is it to spar somebody, not know you're gonna fight him, and then fight there? You're like, oh shit, this is my opponent. Like, what goes through your head as a fighter?
Well, when we were sparring, I was kind of beating him a little bit. So like coming off of I was kind of like a little more confident than how I like saw him. Like when I told him, like he came up to me and he was like, "Oh, what's up?" Being friendly. And he's like, "Oh, when are you gonna fight?" I'm like, "I'm fighting you tomorrow." And he's like, "Oh, kind of like, oh God, I have to fight you now."
So you already knew you had his heart right there just by his reaction. Yeah. So that always helps going into a fight, you know what I mean? To kind of like boost your confidence.
For sure.
Yeah. Sure. So yeah, I went in the fight. I was confident. I beat him a little bit when we were sparring. He off the emotion earlier, he was kind of scared. So I went confident. First round, I did really well. I threw the jab a lot, maybe not enough. In the second and third round, I used the counters a lot. I used the overhand right over the jab. Check hook when he would step in because he's longer than me, he's bigger, so to get inside. Second round, my stamina just kind of slowed down a little bit. Towards the half of the second round, I kind of slowed down. Third round, I was like done. I was slowed down. I have to get better stamina. My stamina was out. So, and if there's nothing on my punches, like if you watch the video, you can tell there's nothing on my punches.
But you were able to get the victory, right? So that's a good thing, right? So you got to think positive. You got to talk positive. You can't look at all the bad. I understand it's good to critique yourself, but at the same time, you have to acknowledge that you did that. And now let's talk about boxing from a different perspective, Nico. You're 14 years old. Everybody in your school has to know, like, you're the boxer, right? Like, they got to know that, right? So talk to me about what that's like, being the boxer in your school. Obviously, bullying is something that's been a big issue, especially in the United States and stuff like that. And, obviously you're the wrong kid to bully, but like, what kind of, what has that done for you? What has boxing done for you outside of just fighting?
So in my school, especially my school, I'm known as the boxing kid, no people, I know everybody knows me. Everybody's friendly to me. Nobody nobody unlikes me or anything. But we don't really have a lot of bullies in our school. Like nobody, I don't think I've ever seen a single bully in our school or like anything of that kind of behavior of some sort. So yeah. But yeah, people, they treat me normal. They just say that, like sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, don't mess with him. He's the boxer, he's the fighter." And like for example, like even my teachers kind of like look at it differently. Like my gym teacher, Mr. McGee, he tried to get me to join the track team, and he was kind of saying like, I know you from the boxing. He was kind of hinting at was like, I know you have that fighting mentality kind of thing because boxing is about fighting and stuff. So that's also another good thing that's happened to it. And teachers also appreciate that it's like such a unique sport. So
Do you think that boxing has just helped you maybe with confidence too? Like, do you think if you like do you walk into a room like, yeah, I know, like, I don't know, like, I just feel like that's what boxing did for me. Like, I feel like, for instance, me, right? I'm a boxing coach. I can go into a room full of people who are way smarter than me in different areas, but since I'm so knowledgeable in boxing, I feel like, well, I'm an expert too at something. You know what I mean? So even though they might be an expert at other stuff, I'm an expert at what I do, right? So it gives me confidence to know, like, you might know more than me about this, but I know more than you about this. So it kind of evens the playing field. Do you get that feeling?
yeah, I do. A good example is my gym class. We got switched to a different sewing class, and it was a different class. I didn't really know a lot of people because this was like seventh grade when we just got out of COVID. Nobody really knew anybody, and one of my friends was in there. His name is Maddie, and I just walked right in. I sat right next to him. And he's like, "Man, you walked right through those doors with so much confidence." I'm like, yeah, it's from boxing. Yeah.
Now, Chris, man, you as a father, obviously, you want your son to succeed. I could just see the love that you have for him is very obvious. Is written all over your face. Now, let me ask you, like, how do you feel about your son? Especially when he steps into the ring. Like, I know you get nervous. Talk to me about the nerves that you deal with, and also talk to me about how proud you are about where you guys have been and where you guys have gone and are going at this moment in time. Like, talk to me about that. Just being a father of a son who's becoming a successful boxer right in front of your eyes.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm so proud of him. There's no words, right, for it. But the thing with him is like he has always wanted to do it. I don't push him to do it. He just there was one point where he was like 7 and he woke me up at like 6 in the morning to go to the gym. He's like, Dad, let's go to the gym. And it's that discipline that I see in him, and even if he doesn't feel like it, I know sometimes he doesn't feel like it. He just goes anyway. And I think those are things that, you got to show up no matter what you're doing, whether it's boxing or whatever. It's going to teach him that you just got to show up every day, no matter what you're doing. Right. And I see that. That's what it's more that life lesson things that I'm trying to hope he gets out of boxing, win or lose. Right. This is teaching him. You got to have discipline. You got to do it even when you don't want to do it. Do it because you love it. Right. And, oh yeah, so much pride when he wins. I do get nervous, like you said, at the beginning, right? Of course, you're going to get nervous when you see him in the ring kind of thing. But usually as soon as that bell rings, it switches over to, just cheering him on and things like that and wanting to see him do well. But I'm so proud of him for it. I mean, I'm the biggest fan.
Now, what made you go to boxing? Like, that's what I want to know too. Like, because we talked about when he started, but like, what woke you up one day and said, we're going to a boxing gym?
So I remember this vividly. So my my friend or my neighbor next door, who's my friend, he used to do boxing, and he was like maybe a year, 2 years older than me, And so he was older than me, and I saw this, and I was like, oh, maybe I should try it out. I was like 6 years old, and so one day I'm just sitting on the couch watching TV, and my mom, like a couple weeks later, was like telling me I should do sport or something. So she walks right through the door with groceries, and I say, Mom, can I go do some boxing, like do boxing? So I went with the coach that he was with, and that's how I got started.
Yeah. And I think too, because later for me, he was in a gym for a while. My wife used to take him there and drop him off and all that. And then, I got more involved and took him to another gym. And I don't know, I just stepped in that old school gym with the newspapers and the pictures and the stories and all that of fighters and this and that. And for me personally, I just was like, oh, this is really cool. I like this, and then then I got more involved with him and, you know, just tried to help him out as much as I could. But it is a unique thing, right? And that uniqueness is cool, you know? So.
And also, like when you're with other parents, right? When you're with other fathers and parents, and they're talking about my kid did really good in Little League, you're like, yeah, my kid just whooped somebody's ass last week, you know?
Yeah. Honestly, like, you know, I work in an environment is very, you know, it's a different thing, right? In technology and it's corporate, and I tell people like, and they're, you know, their kids are doing the traditional sports and all that, and when you tell them, oh, my son's a boxer, they're like, what? Really? You know, tell me more about it, you know?
Right.
They, you know, it's just a different, it's so unique that it spurs interest in people and things like that, you know? So.
I think it's really good, you know, because it gives him an opportunity also just to see. I think it's good when parents put their kids in boxing because, for one, you know, like you said, you work in technology and stuff, and I don't know what kind of area you guys live in, right? But let's just say you live in a nicer area, right? But then when he got to go to these competitions, you're boxing people from everywhere, right? And especially when you start going to, like, you know, nationals and stuff like that, you'll be boxing people from all over the country, from different backgrounds, and he has to learn how to deal with different people, different kinds of people, and win fights under these circumstances. Where if that's not character building, I don't know what is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm big on the character building. You know, when I was a kid, my dad's friend, he used to take us hiking, long hikes and stuff, and he was like an old Marine, you know, and he'd be like, kid, it just builds character. And I never understood what that meant when I was younger. You know, I'm like, what is he talking about?
I mean, it's true. Listen, I'll give you a story. I had a kid that I trained, two kids, the young kids that I trained, and you know, we used to go to Philadelphia, and sometimes we would have to go to like an area called Kensington, which is like really, really bad. Like I'm talking about heroin addicts on the floor with like needles coming out of their arm, like to the point where one of the kids had to call their mom. I mean, he called his mom and said, "Mom, don't come to this fight." You know, like he was protecting his mom because he'd seen the environment that we were in, right? And, you know, of course, we walked in, walked out. That's just where it was. It was in Philly. That's where the tournament was. We had to go there to fight that, you know, particular competition. And he, you know, he's not from that kind of area. So when he's seen that, you know, it also opened his eyes to life a little bit more because it's like, yo, there's some rough places out here, and you know, you're lucky you don't have to live, and you got to fight a kid from this area right now, you know, and win. You know what I mean? So it does something to people when you expand and get out of your comfort zone. And boxing is one of the number one things that is going to get you out of your comfort zone, you know, let alone the environment, but just being in the ring and having to get through the freaking 3 rounds. Those are the longest 6 minutes or whatever that you're gonna, you know, feel in your life is when you're in that ring, or if you're fighting 3-minute rounds, 9 minutes. You know what I mean? So it's just a great thing, I think, overall. But it's definitely a little gritty. You got to be willing to, you know, deal with some of the grittiness that boxing brings. You know, and that's the side that people don't talk about, but that's the truth of it.
Yeah, I mean, but I do think though, like it builds that character and overcoming challenge, and you gotta believe in yourself, man. If you get in that ring, you know, for a competition, or you know, especially as you get older and older and older, as you know, right? But I mean, like I don't know if I could get in the ring. I'm like so proud of him. Like, dude, you step in that ring to fight someone, and people watching, and all the pressure and everything, and you just do it. That takes a lot.
Nico, let me ask you, man. Like you're you know, you're very quiet. You know, you got that fighter's look in your eyes, man. You look serious. You know what I mean? Where do you think you get that from? Where's that come from? Where's that fire come from? Like, do you think you're just born with it, or did something like trigger it? Like, where's that come from?
Probably I think it's just born with it. I'd say born with it.
You've been like that your whole life. You just been about your business.
I mean, he has stories of me hitting him when I was younger.
Yeah. When he's really young, he just loved to punch me in a fun way, you know, like it was fun for him. And then he just took to boxing. But
Nico, Nico, what are your goals with boxing? Serious, true goals. Are you doing this just to do it because you're having fun? Do you want to become a professional? Or are you just trying to get a national title under your belt? Like, what's your dream, man?
To become a pro boxer. Be like Canelo or one of those big names.
Okay, so you want to do this professionally?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, you don't look too excited about it. I mean, you're just like, yeah, just a professional, whatever. But I mean, you're a fighter, so I get it. Yeah, Chris. I mean, you guys are on the right track. You guys have a fight again tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. So, I mean, I don't want to keep you guys up all night. I know he's got to rest, but talk to us a little bit about tomorrow. How you feeling? How has training been? And what are you gonna do tomorrow, man?
So training's been good. Tomorrow I'm fighting a southpaw Angel. I've fought him twice already. I fought him in silver gloves for regionals, and then I fought him again in some club show. I'm pretty sure. So he likes
you keep having to fight the same people or spar the people you like. You keep running into the same people, man. But all right, go ahead.
Yeah, I do. So he likes to throw the big ball in the left hand because he's southpaw and he just lines you up for it. So I saw a video of him losing against some guy in nationals for silver gloves, and he kept him out with a jab. He'd keep throwing the jab. He'd fake. He'd go in, throw, and then he'd just move out. And what you want to do with Angel also is to just move in a circle and keep the center of the ring a lot of the time too.
So you already got a game plan.
Yeah.
You got a game plan. All right, man. Well, I'm excited to hear the results about it. And I know you're gonna do great. So just go out there and do what you do, man. And remember, this is your ring. You own that ring. You know what I mean? And I'm saying that genuinely. That's your ring. You're the boss. Don't let him dictate nothing. You're the boss. You know what I mean? And the fight ain't over to that last bell. So you got to fight until that last bell. Don't get comfortable if you have success in the first round. Don't get comfortable if you have success the first 2 rounds. The third round's the worst round to take off, right? You got to finish strong. So make sure that you bring that energy into the fight tomorrow. Do the best you can, and that's it. You know what I mean? And I'm really excited to hear the results of this one. You know, I really believe you're gonna do great.
All
right. Thanks.
All right. So yeah, Chris, man, thank you so much, man. I know you guys got a big day tomorrow, man. So I don't want to keep you guys here. A lot of good things. But before you leave, for anybody who's thinking about getting involved with the courses and speak genuinely from the heart, let them know what how you feel about everything that you've learned from the courses, the program, everything.
Well, like I said, I can see a big difference between his last fights. You know, since we've been using your courses, he's improved a lot, right? And you know, at first, I'll be honest, like I think I got it on one of your deals or whatever, but you know, you're like, oh, that's kind of a lot of money. It felt like a lot of money at the time, but at the same time, you know, I told you the other coach we were working with, I mean, I was paying him like 120 a week to coach him one-on-one. Right?
Yeah.
That adds up, man. That's a lot, right? And he was cheap compared to anybody else around.
Right.
You know? So, you know, I look back.
Actually, that's true. 120 a week is cheap.
Yeah, that's cheap. You know,
that's really cheap because you might not even get one session out of me for that in person.
No,
you know
no. And like I said, he was an old time. He was like 85. He didn't care about money. He's just doing it because he loved it.
Yeah. I know. I'm playing,
but I look back and I'm like, I get so much value out of, you know, your courses compared to, you know, what we were paying for a cheap coach. And I'm not saying this. I look at him all the time. I watch your coach. You know, we watch, like I said, we watch him in the car. We watch him, you know, wherever. It's very convenient. So, you know, I don't know if anyone's thinking about it, I can say you won't go wrong if you spend the money and you get a lot of value and you own it forever, right? So you can always go back to it. You can always watch it and things like that. So, yeah, that's all I have to say, really.
Nah, man, thank you so much, man. And you're a perfect testament to it because you're a guy who is coaching his kid personally.
Yeah.
So you know you're doing a good job, man. I mean, he won his last fight.
Thank you.
So you know you're doing a good job, and obviously, you know, you're gonna keep learning, right?
Yeah.
We're all learning, you know, like in 5 years, I'm sure I'll be a better trainer than what I am today, and I'm better than I was 5 years ago. And like what did Muhammad Ali say? If you think the same way you did 10 years ago, you wasted 10 years of your life. It's the same thing with boxing, you know, as a coach. If you're still coaching exactly the same and you haven't upgraded, you haven't learned new methods and new ways to do the things you used to do better, then you're just, you know, you wasted years. You know, you got to continue to improve. And that's why you're doing it the right way, by educating yourself. There's only one way to learn, and that's to educate yourself.
Yeah.
And I think people miss that part. They think they're just gonna magically get the information. It's like you have to educate, and the easiest way to do that is to learn from somebody who's already put in the years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the way you've distilled it down into those different courses, and you know, like you said, at the different levels and stuff, it just saves so much time than trying to find it on YouTube videos, and it's scattered everywhere and so on and so forth. I can just go right. If I feel like he needs to work on something just from watching him, I can go right back to your videos and go, okay, where's this about, you know, how to counter this or do whatever. It just saves a lot of time that way for me personally.
Yeah, definitely, man. So listen, tomorrow after you guys get your victory, we'll be talking again, and we'll be highlighting another victory. Every victory from now on, I want to bring you guys on. I also want to I'm gonna go over those. I know I haven't sent you that. I'm gonna go over the fight. I'm gonna send you everything I saw in the last fight that you could do better. And then tomorrow after the fight, I'll go over that stuff for you as well.
Great.
And we'll get on a call privately next week at some point.
Sounds good. All right.
All right, Chris. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, man. Have a good one, Nico. Good luck tomorrow, champ.
You too. Thanks.